My best friend started a rumor that I was cheating on my boyfriend with a neighbor to take my boyfriend away from me. The first time I heard the rumor, I was laughing at a meme Caleb had sent me. That laugh died quickly when my phone buzzed again, this time with a message from my roommate. So, you really hooked up with the guy from 3B? My fingers froze mid-scroll. I sat up, heart pounding, as the reality of what I was reading hit me. Hooked up? With who? And why was Jenny's name suddenly attached to this mess? So, Jenny and I weren't exactly losers, but we weren't anyone's first choice when it came to invites for campus parties either. We were the people you kind of knew from class, but never thought to text. That changed when, halfway through sophomore year, Jenny burst into our dorm room, plopped on my bed, and declared, "We're changing everything." I laughed. Like, everything? Yes. I'm tired of spending weekends binge-watching crime documentaries while the rest of the dorm is out making memories, or at least embarrassing mistakes. I rolled my eyes, but she had a point. We weren't doing anything exciting. No wild nights, no funny stories, nothing that would make good Reddit posts years down the line. So, we made a pact, say yes to events, meet more people, and maybe, just maybe, become the girls people actually wanted to hang out with. We started with club sign-ups, mixers, and dorm socials. It was awkward at first. I wasn't the type to jump into random conversations, but Jenny? She was a natural at small talk. She'd flash that easy grin, charm her way through conversations, and somehow know half the room by the end of the night. Things actually started picking up. We got invited to more parties, met new people, and for once, I felt like we belonged. But while I was having fun just being social, Jenny seemed to be chasing something more. She wanted recognition, validation, people to notice her, and that's when everything started to shift. At first, it was fun. Jenny and I would go out, dance until our feet hurt, and stumble back to the dorm giggling over the dumb things people did at the party. But then I started noticing how Jenny's mood would sour whenever the night didn't go her way. If no one asked for her number, she'd sulked. If a conversation fizzled out after a few jokes, "What a waste of time," she'd say, and when someone complimented me instead of her, I could see her jaw clenched. It wasn't always obvious. Jenny knew how to hide things well. But once you've been best friends with someone long enough, you learn to spot the cracks. One night, after a campus charity event, we were walking back to the dorm when she blurted out, "Why does everything seem so easy for you?" I laughed, thinking she was joking. "Are you serious?" "Half the time, I'm just standing awkwardly by the snacks." "No, you're not," she said, her voice sharp. "You always end up talking to the right people. Like, you don't even have to try." I stopped walking. "Jenny, that's not true. You're the one who's good at this." She waved me off and kept walking. "Whatever. I'm just saying you're lucky." The conversation stuck with me longer than it should have. I brushed it off as Jenny having a bad night, but looking back, I should have seen it for what it was. The first warning sign that my best friend didn't see me as her equal anymore. She saw me as competition. Over the next few weeks, things only got weirder. Jenny was still my go-to for everything. We studied together, ate together, went to events together, but there was this underlying tension I couldn't ignore. It was in the way she'd make snide little comments. "Oh, look at you being Miss Popular these days. You're lucky people like you. I have to work for it. If I had your face, I wouldn't have to try so hard either." I laughed them off at first because, well, that's what friends do, right? You assume they're joking, even when something about their tone doesn't feel quite right. But the passive-aggressive remarks didn't stop there. At a small dorm party, I was talking to a girl from one of our clubs when Jenny walked over and draped an arm around me. "Don't listen to her," she said, laughing. "She's always exaggerating her stories. She could make tripping over a rock sound like an epic adventure." The girl gave me a polite smile and walked off. I was left standing there stunned. Jenny shrugged and handed me a drink like nothing had happened. Another time, she accidentally spilled coffee on my notes the morning of a big presentation. "Oops," she said, not looking the least bit sorry. "Guess you'll have to wing it." I confronted her once. "What's your deal, Jenny? You've been acting weird." She gave me her signature innocent smile. "I'm just teasing. Don't be so sensitive." And like an idiot, I believed her. I wanted to believe her. Because who wants to admit their best friend might be turning against them? Then came the rumor. It was a Thursday afternoon, and I was eating lunch in the campus cafe when one of my classmates, Sarah, slid into the seat across from me. She had that "I know something you don't" smirk plastered on her face. "Didn't think you were the cheating type," she said, sipping her iced coffee like she wasn't about to drop a bomb on me. I choked on my sandwich. "What?" She leaned in, lowering her voice. "You and Jake from the second floor. People are saying you hooked up at the dorm party last weekend." Jake? I barely knew the guy beyond the occasional nod in the hallway. And I wasn't even at that party. I'd stayed in, binge-watching a show and eating leftover pizza. "That's not true," I said firmly. "Who's saying this?" Sarah shrugged. "I don't know, but it's spreading fast." My head was spinning by the time I got back to my dorm. I threw my bag on the floor and paced the room, replaying the conversation in my head. How could this even happen? I hadn't done anything. And who the hell would make up something like that? I was halfway through texting Jenny to tell her about the rumor when the door opened, and she walked in, her hair tied back in a messy bun. "Hey," she said, tossing her keys on the desk. "What's up?" I looked at her, my thumb hovering over the send button. Something in my gut told me to wait. "Nothing," I said, slipping my phone into my pocket. "Just a long day." She didn't ask any questions, just flopped onto her bed and started scrolling through her phone. I sat down on my bed, watching her out of the corner of my eye, wondering if she had any clue what was going on. Or worse, if she was the one behind it. The next day, the whispers got louder. People I barely knew were glancing at me in the hallways, exchanging looks like they were in on some private joke. Even my group in biolab was acting weird, asking vague questions about my weekend, as if waiting for me to slip up and confirm the rumor. By the time I got back to the dorm, I was ready to explode. I shut the door behind me and dropped my bag on the floor. Jenny was sitting cross-legged on her bed, watching some TikTok video. She didn't even look up. "Hey," I said, my voice sharp. "We need to talk." She paused the video, raising an eyebrow. "What's going on?" I took a deep breath, trying to keep my cool. "There's a rumor going around that I hooked up with Jake from the second floor. And people are acting like it's a fact." Her eyes widened, but not in shock. It was more like amusement. Like she was enjoying this. "No way," she said, her voice light and playful. "Who's spreading that?" "That's what I'm trying to figure out," I said, crossing my arms. "Do you know anything about it?" She hesitated, just for a second, before shaking her head. "Nope. That's insane, though. You should probably shut it down before Caleb hears." My heart skipped a beat. "Caleb?" I hadn't even thought about how this might affect him. Jenny shrugged. "I'm just saying, if it gets to him, it could cause problems. Rumors like this have a way of snowballing." Something about her tone made my stomach turn. She was being too casual, like she already knew how this would play out. And then it hit me, the offhand comments, the accidental sabotage, the way she'd been acting like I didn't deserve the good things in my life. "Jenny," I said slowly, my voice trembling, "did you start this?" She laughed, but it sounded forced. "Why would I do that?" I stepped closer. "Because you've been weird ever since we started going out more. Because you've made it clear you're jealous. And because I trusted you enough to think you'd never do something like this, but maybe I was wrong." Her face hardened, and for the first time, she dropped the fake smile. "Okay, fine. Maybe I said something at the party. But I didn't think it would turn into this." I felt like the air had been knocked out of me. "Why?" I whispered. "Why would you do that to me?" "Because it's always about you," she snapped, standing up. "You get the attention without even trying. People like you without you having to work for it. I'm tired of being the sidekick, of watching you get everything I want." I stared at her, the betrayal sinking in like a knife to the chest. This was supposed to be my best friend, the one person who had my back no matter what. And now she was admitting she'd tried to destroy me, all because she couldn't handle me having a little success. "You were my friend," I said, tears welling up in my eyes. "I would have done anything for you." She scoffed. "Yeah, well, that's the problem, isn't it? You were the one everyone wanted as a friend." I was just there, hoping someone would notice me too. I couldn't listen anymore. I grabbed my bag and stormed out of the room, her voice echoing behind me. "You can't just run away from this." She was wrong. I wasn't running away, I was walking away from someone who'd shown me exactly who they were. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I replayed Jenny's words, "It's always about you." I stared at the ceiling of my friend's dorm room, my mind racing through every red flag I had ignored. The passive-aggressive comments. The small jabs disguised as jokes. The the fake support when I succeeded. I had been so blind. BY morning, I was running on pure adrenaline and caffeine. My phone buzzed with another text from Jenny, the fifth one since midnight. Please, can we talk? I'm sorry, okay? I deleted it without replying. Caleb was the only person I wanted to talk to. I needed him to hear everything before the rumor twisted into something I couldn't control. My fingers trembled as I texted him, can we meet? I need to explain what's been going on. He responded within seconds. I'm already on my way to the cafe. Meet me there? I threw on a hoodie, grabbed my keys, and rushed out the door, my heart pounding the whole way there. When I arrived, he was waiting at a corner table, 2 cups of coffee already in front of him. He stood up as soon as he saw me and pulled me into a hug. I know, he said softly, before I could say a word. I've heard about the rumor. Are you okay? I blinked, surprised. You believe me? Of course, he said without hesitation. I know you wouldn't do that. I sat down, the weight on my chest easing just slightly. It was Jenny, I admitted. She started it at a party, and it spiraled out of control. Caleb leaned back, his jaw tightening. I knew something was off with her. She's been weird for a while, hasn't she? I nodded, tears threatening to spill. I just don't understand why she'd do this to me. We were supposed to be best friends. He reached across the table, taking my hand. She wasn't your friend if she could do something like this. I know it's hard, but you have to let her go. I bit my lip and nodded. Letting go was the only option. But that didn't make it any less painful. BY the weekend, I had packed up everything that belonged to me, clothes, books, photos, even the dumb little inside jokes Jenny and I used to pin on our corkboard. They all went into boxes and bags. Each item felt heavier than the last, like I was boxing up years of memories and sealing them shut for good. Jenny wasn't in the room while I packed, and I was grateful for that. I couldn't handle another confrontation. I left the dorm key on my desk, walked out, and didn't look back. That night, she texted me one last time. So you're just leaving without saying anything? I stared at the message for a long time, my thumb hovering over the screen. Part of me wanted to reply, to scream at her, to demand answers she'd already given me. But what would be the point? Instead, I put my phone down, turned off the lights, and let the silence speak for itself. The next morning, I moved into my new room across campus. It was smaller and unfamiliar, but it felt like a clean slate. No memories of whispered late-night secrets. No passive-aggressive remarks disguised as jokes. Caleb helped me unpack, and as we arranged my books on the shelf, he said, "You okay?" I took a deep breath and nodded. I will be. And I meant it. I'd lost a friend, but I'd gained clarity. Jenny had been a part of my life for so long that I hadn't noticed when the friendship turned toxic. It wasn't until she burned everything down that I realized how much she'd been holding me back. It still hurt. But I was done being someone's target. Some friendships end quietly. Others explode. But the important thing is knowing when to walk away. And when I closed the door to my new room that night, I knew I'd made the right choice.